Our second scripture lesson this morning comes from the Gospel of Matthew in the second chapter, verses 1 through 12. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star in the east and have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. And calling together all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod secretly called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. Then he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also go and pay him homage." When they had heard the king, they set out, and there, ahead of them, went the star that they had seen in the east, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Have you ever wondered what a baby is supposed to do with frankincense and myrrh? Are these good gifts for the baby Jesus? I imagine the gold is nice. The gold will help take care of some of the expenses that come with the newborn, but the perfumes and incense seems a little strange. I guess that depends on how we are looking at the gifts and who are offering the gifts and who is receiving these gifts. We know that they are generous. They're the types of gifts that honor and recognize a king. And I think in most gift-giving situations, it is the thought that counts. Does anyone here have the primary love language of gift-giving? This is one of the 5 love languages, and so I have to imagine at least a handful of people in this room, their primary way of either showing or receiving love is gift-giving. Anybody? Well, I'm not going to call on you. I'm just more curious numerically. Okay, interesting. It's the absolute bottom tier for me, way at the bottom. If there was a 6, it would be the 6th one for me. It's at the bottom 5 for me. Gift giving is simply not how I like to experience my affection. I don't necessarily like receiving them. I don't like giving them. That's not the expression I move towards when I want to show someone my care for them. Now, don't get me wrong. I see the kindness and the affection that comes with gift giving, but just for the most part, they don't resonate with me as they might resonate with you, and especially those who raise their hand. I bet they resonate particularly well with you. But I do have a potent memory of receiving one of those most special gifts, and I think we all probably share in this experience of receiving something that really was life-changing or impacted us. For me, it was the early 90s, and it was a Super Nintendo. And gosh, I remember, I won't forget that gift. And me and Mario and the gang spent many years together, and it was a delight. But that's one of the few gifts that I really recall. I want you to spend just a moment to recall that special gift that you have been given. What was one or two things that when you think about your life of gifts, what have you gotten that was just so impactful? It makes me wonder, what does a gift honor? What does a gift communicate? Why do gifts sometimes have such power in our lives, such memory and impact associated with them? I received a steam iron from one of you for Christmas this year, an iron for like my clothes, and I'll start using it soon. And I heard it. I understand that apparently my wrinkles distract some of you in worship, and so I'll work on that. But so you see, gifts communicate certain things. When you give a gift of thoughtfulness, you understand something about yourself or the world. To be honest, I love practical gifts. Those are my favorite kind of gifts, so jokes on that person because I'm going to be crisp the rest of 2024. Gift giving can be fun and lighthearted, that's true. But I think we would all agree, and as we search our memories about those most special gifts, the best gifts are the gifts that make an authentic impact in our lives. Those are the gifts that capture the epiphany moment the best. Gifts that speak to genuine love or compassion or care or need. Friends, I want to take just a moment to highlight just some of the gifts that you have given to this church or partners or ministries of this church. And this is not an exhaustive list. It would take too long to really lay out all the things that you have given this church and the mission partners of this church. And really, this is mostly just from this Advent season. But here's some data for you about your generosity. For the joy gift offering that benefited Bethel, we raised more than $24,000. For the recycled electronics drive, we diverted over 1/2 ton from landfills and were able to distribute 8 refurbished laptops to students who needed them. 10,000 or more meals were packed for Rise Against Hunger. 30 boxes of hope went out to metropolitan ministries from this church. The Giving Tree gifts totaled over 275 gifts that benefited over 120 people. We collected over $7,000 for Christmas around the world. And over the course of just 2023, this congregation has spent many thousands of hours volunteering across all of our ministries. It's truly astounding. The gifts and generosity of this church speaks to where your hearts are, our collective hearts are. Where our time and energy and resources are spent are for those things that benefit either the vulnerable or those who just need the help or the tragedy that we're facing. In the collective coming together with our gifts, we have supported so many children and youth, and we have ensured the continued care of not only this church, but the broader community around us. Just as the Magi's gifts honored the kingship of Christ, so have your gifts honored God. This has been true in this place, in this church, for 96 years. I think that's how old this church is. We have a long legacy of such generosity, and I'm confident that this will be true in the years ahead. And I love being a part of this church that collectively does so much good. I'm proud to be a pastor of this place. I feel quite blessed to be a pastor of this place, and we should all take joy, great joy, in the collective work that we have done in the past year. We should do this every year. But we only get to enjoy this moment of looking back and having collected all this data, seeing all the good things we have done, if we have gotten our minds ready and if we've done the work of planning and preparing for the year ahead. And so it turns out this is kind of a pen and paper sort of Sunday, and I'm going to ask you to grab a pen if you have one in your bulletin, or you have my permission to take out your phones and open up your notes pages, because here's what I'm worried about. If we do this work of planning and preparing and we have all these thoughts enter our mind, they might just float around our brain a bit, and then they won't manifest. And Epiphany is about manifestation. That's what Epiphany means in the Christ moment. They're manifesting this reality in front of us. And so truly, if you have a pen, write this down. If you have a phone, write these notes down. I want us to begin to prepare a little bit for the year ahead. And I'm going to ask you bluntly, what gifts of yours are you bringing to God this year? What gifts are you bringing to this church, and how this church might use your gifts to bless those in the community around us? And so we'll take just a minute. Here's kind of the first question I want you to think about and write down. What time will you be allocating for God in terms of worship and fellowship and service? Just throw out a ballpark number. In a week of your life, how much time do you want to be spending either in this place or doing things of a faith nature or supporting or service, whatever it might be? I don't want to give you too many boundary lines, but just think about that. What sounds like a good round number for you? Write it down. What are we aiming for? Here's the second question. What are some passions that you have that might have natural intersections with the church? Y'all, you care about stuff. I know this. This is not an apathetic group. So what are the things that you care about? Think about that, your natural passions, the things that you're already spending your time and your energy on. And can you brainstorm for just a moment, where's a natural place in the church where we might benefit from your passions? Jot down a few things. Final question. What are your talents? What are your unique gifts? What are you good at? And who might you talk to in the church about sharing what you're good at? I know we do this all the time in our youth ministry. We give our students a sense of God has blessed you with something. You have particular talents that far exceed my talent in whatever the arena is, and that's true in the larger body as well. You have gifts, you have abilities that I do not. I know this for a fact. We were talking about this in staff meeting this past Tuesday. I do not have a gift for atmospherics and worship. I am terrible with decor and trying to set up a place of worship. Roger, were we talking about this? We were talking about this. They agreed. This is not my strong suit. You might have this strong suit. You might have an eye for things like atmospherics. Well, gosh, would it be helpful if you let me know that so I can say, great, can you please help me? Because it's just this. This is all I have. It's lights on the wall. But maybe this is something we can improve and work upon to make this worship space more worshipful. You see my point. This is an important exercise that we do, and why we write it down is so that it tries to become something more real. I can assure you, in the year ahead, staff and teams from every ministry branch of this church will be seeking your help. It's appropriate that we do that. We are a church where we believe all members of the body have their role in the church. We don't have a hierarchy. We have the community of faith that gathers together to do the work that we need to do. I know I'm going to be asking for those folks who are willing to go with teenagers to Tennessee for our service trip this summer. That's true. I'm going to need at least a half a dozen adults to come drive up to Tennessee. If you're willing to do that, you might be one of the 6 people out of the 2,000 members we have who is willing to do that. Talk to me about that. I know we're going to have a need for VBS volunteers. I know we're going to have a need for folks to teach our adult faith formation classes. I know we're going to need people to help cook some meals. Friends, we have enough gifts. We have all that we need to make sure that our church is operating in the best way that it can. Here's the really good news. This is good work that we are all being called to. When our time and our gifts and our energy and our resources serve the larger community, serve the church, serve God, we get to benefit from that gratification. We get to make that impact. We will have the internal peace of knowing, well, that was the right thing to do. I can't tell you how many times I've walked through a day and thought, well, I don't know if that was the right thing to do. And that's an unsettling, uncomfortable place. But in terms of serving God, serving the church, never once have I doubted that that was the right thing to do. And we will have made ourselves and those around us feel much better for it. And most importantly, we hope we'll have made the love of God more tangible for the surrounding community. So let's get in the mindset of the Magi, and as we travel into this new year, understand that we carry a lot. We have gifts to offer. How will we present our gifts? To whom and for what purpose? We have choices in the year ahead, and I'm eager to see a year from now how, in reflecting back, we'll see all that we have accomplished. Until then, we too are given gifts. We are given gifts of bread and cup. We are given the gifts of this table. And it is good and right for us to be nourished and satisfied in spirit as we prepare ourselves to not only go out into the world this week, but to look at the year ahead and to wonder, what might we give God? And so at this time, I'll invite the children to return back to their seats with their families. I'll give them just a moment to do so as we prepare for communion.